formal introduction.
Yeah, the formal introduction. So let's go back in time. Maybe it was 2019, I think. We were introduced to SessionLab. We resisted to transfer all our content to this interesting but weird tool at the beginning. But by the time we did it, we never came back. So our lives, all our professional work, all our events are there. So we have a huge library that we create along the years. And we are so thankful because we save so much time and it's so much professional. So thank you, Session Lab, for creating this tool for us. And thank you, Andy, for being our guide at the beginning. We had you once in a session here. And yeah, we have been contacting, exchanging messages and doing stuff together. So it's been nice. And you are always available to share and present this tool for more people. So thank you for making the time. Thanks for all the work you and Robert and all the team are doing and evolving the tool. And the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone. Pleasure to see you all today. Yeah, so I'm Andy from SessionLab, and yeah, really nice to be invited along to talk through SessionLab. I know we're going to have maybe a little poll just to understand your level of or comfort with SessionLab so far. But SessionLab's about 10, 12 years old now, and I joined SessionLab about 7 years ago now. So I've really seen SessionLab change over the years. It started off, and I'll cover this as soon as we start jumping into SessionLab, but started off just as the agenda builder, so where you might plan your day, your session, your team building activities, you might plan that in Excel. That's what you would do instead inside SessionLab. And we'll be going through the different areas of SessionLab, finding some of the resources and also some of the free resources, because there's a whole library that's available completely free of charge that you can go and find some different activities and use them in your session. So we'll be going through some of those steps. But general idea today is I'm gonna spend maybe 15 minutes shortly, spend about 15 minutes, and we'll just go through the bare bones of SessionLab, the understanding what it is and how you might be able to get starting to use it yourself. We'll then have a pause and some time for some questions. I'd love to hear how you plan agendas, if you've used SessionLab before. We'll have some questions there. Then I'm going to spend a little bit of time showing you some of the recent changes. So if you have used SessionLab before, or if you just want to find out some of the things that we've amended over the last 6 months, there's been quite a few changes, some AI changes as well, and also some of the future direction that we're looking to take SessionLab in. So I'll be covering that too. And then at the very end of the session, we'll have time to maybe hear how you've found some of the activities we did, whether you think SessionLab could fit into your workflow. And we're always keen to develop SessionLab in the future. So any feedback you have on things you'd love to see, we'd love to hear that too.
So Andy, just a quick housekeeping. I just noticed that our automations in Kajabi sent the wrong link for people in Brazil, so in Portugal. So some people start to join because they now have the correct links, like Paula. So Paula, para
Okay, Paul.
ligar a tradução, você liga o Captions, e aí você vai ter a opção no Captions de ligar a tradução para português, do inglês, e a
Ok.
gente vai
Boa tarde,
seguindo.
pessoal.
Muito bem.
Obrigada, Fernanda.
Okay, so let's launch a quick polling just to check what is your relationship with SessionLab. Carolina and I, we are married, but we are also
Yeah.
married with SessionLab, so it's a triangle relationship. Because we share the same account. So we have six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, the rest are co-hosts. So let me show you the results.
Also married here.
So some people don't have met yet, some are introduced, some have a few conversations. Good. So now you know, Andy.
No, I know. No, I can understand that. So what I will cover today is more of the basics, first steps in SessionLab, and then plenty of space for you to ask some questions if you're a little bit familiar with it already. So so I'm ready to jump in and start sharing, or did we have a networking event first? Or?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we can
Sorry.
connect to each other just to know more each other here, and
Nice.
we're gonna do the problem networking for that. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
Yeah, so then what you're gonna do, you're gonna be in pairs, and we're gonna have 3 rounds and 4 minutes each round. So you're gonna have the chance to talk with 3 different people. And the questions, it's what is your story with SessionLab, and what do you hope to take away from this gathering here, and how you can contribute in this session with this group. And that's
And
it.
I'll get you in one of the breakouts, Andy, just to have some inputs.
Of course. Sounds great.
Here we go.
Mm. It's so nice when we get connect to each other. We always come to the main room with a smile. So I just love that. It's so awesome. So we are gonna have another room, another round, same questions, 4 minutes, and probably a different conversation because it's a different person.
Yeah, new pairs. Here we go.
New pairs. Here we go. Here we
And
are for the last
third
round.
round. The last one. Here we go. Boom.
Agora sumiu tudo. Acho melhor começar, Fernando. Eu me viro aqui, se não for atrapalhar o pessoal, senão eu até deixo a
Tá.
sessão.
Talvez eu vou colocar você com a Carol ali numa sala, aí você vê com ela rapidinho. Deixa eu só colocar aqui.
So good to have great conversations.
Yes.
So awesome. It's always
So,
good.
I'll open the breakouts, Carolina. You solve the thing with Paula, and then you come back. Okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
Sure.
Boom. Andy,
I'm
what
here.
is
I'm
Session
here.
Lab? Session what?
So what is it? Well, yeah. Let's jump into it. So I'm going to start talking through everything that's SessionLab related. In fact, I'll just check I can share my screen, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay. So hopefully we're seeing here as well. Fernando, can I just get a thumb? Yeah. Oh, you can see. Can you see your faces, your videos, or not?
Yeah.
You can. Okay, let me hide that then. Let me move that down the bottom here. I'm just going to see. Oh, okay. I might keep you on the screen.
And one thing to add, Andy, if people are seeing the screen shared now, you can move. There is a bar between the screen shared and the people. So you can move, you can drag this line and make people bigger and the screen smaller. So adjust as you need. Take control of your screen. Zoom allows you to do it. Go, Andy. I can
Go.
resist.
Okay. Fantastic. Let's jump into it. And what I'm looking at here is an example of what we're trying to replicate in SessionLab. So this is a good example of something I would have done 5 years ago, 10 years ago, a different way of showing your session. So I would have put something like this together inside an Excel document. I've put my times in one column, I've put the duration in another column, and I've put the title of what's happening in the third. So this is actually the plan for today's session. So this is in my local time. I knew 20 minutes before we were going to get to the opening. I know at 5 o'clock we're going to kick off the session and work through it this way. I can see that we've got a closing section at the end and then ending at 6:30. Now, this works. This looks good. This is great. But what happens if you wanted to move something? If you wanted to drag something, if we the SessionLab practice that we've got here, if we want to do this earlier, or maybe I'd like to add some more information in here. Maybe I've got a PowerPoint presentation that goes along with one of the sections here. Maybe I've got an image. maybe I'd like to collaborate with my colleagues. There are ways around it. So inside Excel, I can share the file, I can send it to somebody. Sometimes there's then some problems if somebody makes some changes and they send it back to you. It might not be the version that you wanted. Overall, I'm just trying to get, the main point is that there are some limitations when you're working in Excel. If you just need to put together a very simple highlight of agenda, this works. But ultimately, SessionLab's there to give you loads more control over designing your session. So this is what it looks like in Excel. Let's see what it would look like in SessionLab. So I took this agenda, and if I move my screen over this way, I've now got this session that's open inside SessionLab. And Fernando and Carolina kindly put this together inside a SessionLab agenda. And this matches just what I was showing on my previous screen. In fact, I can toggle back and just confirm between the two. But let's go back to this session, and I can see these different times have been put in as different rows inside my session. And I can see a number of different columns coming down that have a title and description, some additional information. But let's scroll back to the top. I can see this is what the session's going to be covering. I can see the overall timing of my session, where I've put my local time zone, so I can see all the timings that are applicable to me. And then we've got the timing for how long it's going to run. And each of these different blocks has got lots of space for bits of extra information. So I've got a title there, a bit of a description, and then some more additional information that we've put there. And you'll see these different notes. So we've put the Zoom link right at the very top of our session, because it's one of those most important things you don't want to lose. And I can also scroll down and see other notes, a reminder to hit the record button. And these different blocks don't have any timing associated with them. So if we look at this welcome, I can see at 5 o'clock, we're starting the session. The first 4-minute block is just going to be a loose hello, a loose welcome. But as we get further on the agenda, these little reminders don't actually have any timings associated with them. That's something we've actually changed recently. In case you have used SessionLab before, you can change the color of these notes. So it's quite a nice way if you have different types of activities in your session. Maybe you want red reminders for some technical setups and yellow reminders for a different type of setup. But either way, there's lots of ways you can customize how your session looks. But we can scroll down through this agenda, and I can see all these different blocks make up the different parts of our agenda. We've got the official welcome happening there. We've done this relationship poll where we asked you those different questions. We did the impromptu networking section, and then this is where we're up to now. We're doing the intro and the recap of a SessionLab, and I've started to add some text in there too. Now, if we wanted to move anything around, this is probably the first thing that people find out about when they use SessionLab, is that you can very easily click, drag and drop and move something inside your agenda. So if I wanted to move this, and I can drag it further up my session and drop it somewhere else. I'm working on a very old, slow computer today, so I'm sorry if that comes across at all. But here I did manage to just drag that networking block just up one space. So when I do that, it automatically carries on from the block before it. So we'll see this reflected as we start to change our session. I'm going to leave this agenda so I don't mess around with it too much and just open up another one. This is a completely different session, but you see it's exactly the same type of format here. So we see this is set up in such a way, we've got the title, we've got the blocks that are listed here inside my session. We're starting with an icebreaker, we're setting some expectations, and then carrying on doing some teamwork. And this teamwork section's got a few different blocks that are all in a group here together. So again, if I just want to click and drag and drop and move anything, I can drag a block and move it further up my session and then let go, and it will move into that position if I had a slightly more modern computer. There we go, it's moved. And it's moved up the block here to a slightly earlier time. And if I want to take any time away, so I've got this expectations block here happening for 10 minutes, I can just hit the 5 key or type in a different timing, and that will automatically update. So the next block, which starts at 9:50 in the morning, that next block that timing will automatically update. So you never need to go back and readjust your timings in the session. You just automatically have everything flowing on from one another all together. I'm just going to show a couple more things, and I will pause so we can share any feedback or questions. But here, If you go back to Excel, I'm comparing this here to Excel. We've got the different columns going down where if we want to, we can add some more information. If I go back to SessionLab, I can click on the cog, that little gear icon just there, and I can adjust which columns are then shown inside my session. We've just got one big column here at the moment. If I wanted to list maybe some materials that I needed, so it will serve as a bit of a shopping list of things I need inside my session, I can click on that, and that will add on a second column there, which is useful for me to do. Worth to know that you can change the title of any column. So I predict that a lot of us here might not always or ever work in English. So you can change of course, the text that you enter, you can enter in Portuguese, Spanish, your own language there too, but you can also change the title of any of the columns so it will actually say the right thing in your language. And while we're on that point, I'm going to just go straight away and look in my account settings here. I'm just going to open that up because very recently we did add some language support for SessionLab. So maybe you're seeing everything, well, you are seeing everything at the moment in English. If I scroll down my account settings page, we've got a few different choices. So if you do work in Portuguese or Spanish, you can choose those from the menu there, and then all of the menu options will all change the language inside SessionLab for you. We do want to add some more languages there too, but at least for this audience, I think you can change to Portuguese or Spanish, and then your session will then be in that format. Okay, I'm going to scroll back to SessionLab for a second here. Now I'm going to open up the agenda that I was just looking at, and to do that, I've hit back and I'm going back to my workspace here, which has got all my different sessions in it. I'm just scrolling back to my workspace and I'm going to click. These are the different sessions that I'm working on. I've got 3 or 4 that I'm currently working on in my account. I can click on the Team Dynamics one that I was working on before. And again, I'm going to open it up here to view. Now, when I describe or introduce SessionLab to anyone, I always describe it in 2 big kind of areas. So one big area is all about the agenda planner, exactly what we're looking at here. It's up to you to create an agenda starting from scratch or starting from something you've made before, but you can adjust an agenda. That's the big part of SessionLab. But the other big part of SessionLab is giving you inspiration and ideas to go inside your session. So let's say that we want to put a fun icebreaker inside our session. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on the home button to go back to the home page, and then I can click on the library button in the title, and that will open up SessionLab's library. Looks just like this. If you don't have a SessionLab account, or if you never intend to have a SessionLab account, that's absolutely fine. Any of you can navigate straight to sessionlab.com/library. And when you head there, you can check out these different team building exercises, icebreakers, group cohesion activities, anything that could fit into your agenda that can help make it work. I've clicked on all the different methods here. And you can see there's 1,500 plus different icebreakers, team building exercises, all been submitted by different companies. So we were speaking earlier about the liberating structures sort of activities, or Hyper Island, for example. I can see here have submitted a few different facilitation ideas, and I can click on any one of these little white squares, these cards, and it will open up a bit bigger for me here. So I can see if I'm doing a session on teamwork and team cohesion, I can search for this block here, and it will tell me I need certain things to run it. I've got all the instructions, so I know how to run this activity myself, all the different steps. And I might have further down some tips for running the activity online. So a lot of these activities were in-person actions, but back in 2020, we added some tips so you can use these online. But it's worth exploring the library. You'll find, like I say, hundreds of different activities, team building exercises. You can go to the very top and click on these different icons along the top here. If I'm looking for an energizer specifically, I can click on that word there, and it will just show me the different energizers, the different building blocks of my session that I can put in. When we have a pause later on, so in maybe 20 minutes or so, we'll have a pause where we have some time for breakout rooms. And in those 5, it's only going to be 5 or 6 minutes. But in that time, one of the activities that would be great for you to do, if you haven't done it before, is to head here. And we'll give you the link for that a bit later. But you can head straight to the library and just try to get a feel for the different types of activities that are here and the different ones that you might use in your own sessions. Now, I've been looking at these methods just down the bottom here. These are the different parts of your session. So it might be a 20-minute icebreaker. It might be a 30-minute long team building activity. But just at the very top here, we've also got about 115 different templates. So instead of starting a brand new session completely from scratch, so you open up with a blank sheet of paper and you think, I've got to start putting the first words on here, maybe you can start instead from a pre-designed template. And again, when we get to those breakout sections a bit later on, there's a chance to look at one of these designed templates. But I'm just going to click on one just for the moment, and I can click on this public template that's available for everyone to see and use. And as soon as I click on it, it will give me an example of what this looks like if I want to make my own version of it. And it's now creating my own session from this template. And what we'll see there when it does load, here it's coming through, is a fully designed session plan all ready for me to use. So everything that lives inside the library that we just looked at is a completely public view. You won't be able to edit anything there, but I've taken something, made a copy of it, and now I've got my own session here ready to start working on. No one else will see this session. I can start dragging and dropping content, deleting the text. I can start changing these columns. I can make some narrower or wider if I would like to, or change some of the different text that's in here as well. Okay, there's a couple of other areas I'm just going to talk through, and then I'm going to have a pause so we can answer a few questions and maybe hear about anyone else's experience. But I'm just going to give you a bit of a background on how you would share a session. So I'm going to go back to the session that I was working on previously here. I just created this just myself. I'm working on it. Nobody else can see it at the moment, but I have actually invited somebody to this session. So if I click on the share button, just in the header here, I get more information about who can and can't see this session. So it's just loading up that share screen here where I can see that I'm the owner of the session, and I've typed in someone's email address. So I've invited Christina along to this session and she can edit it with me as well. Now, this is one of the paid features. So up until now, the things I've shown you, creating a session, looking in the library, all of those are free to do. You can explore and test things out on your own time, of course. But here, when I want to actually invite someone to a session, this is one of the paid features. But still, I can invite Christina to come and work on a session with me, and Christina doesn't need a paid subscription. So I can invite 1, 2, 20, 30 different people to come and work on a session with me, and none of them need a paid subscription. You just have to be the main owner that works in the account. And as Fernando and Carolina said at the start of the call, some people share an account. So you might have a couple of people with the same logon, and then you can invite anyone else to come and work on that session with me. As long as the person who owns the session has a paid subscription, you can invite someone. But Christina can come along and just do any actions inside this session. She can add and remove things. She can reorganize things inside the session too. But if I decided I actually wanted to give someone just the view-only access, so I just wanted to give Christina an access so she could only view things and not completely ruin my schedule, but keep it intact and just leave nice comments, and I could just choose her to be the viewer instead there. There's a couple of other ways of sharing your agenda, but I'm just going to talk about this online agenda here because we spoke about this at the very start of the call while we were getting set up. And this is a nice way to show your session without showing all the information behind it. So when I opened up this session, we've got all this text, all these bits of information, these different blocks, columns. In fact, I can share that online agenda and it looks just like this. So it's exactly the same session. All it's got is just some information about the timing, what's happening, the different category colors linked to the different exercises. So if you're running an event and you'd like to have a version that you can share with your participants, this is a great option because it's just got a stripped back view of all those different timings in your session. Okay, I'm going to stop there. We'll have some chance maybe now to share any feedback. I'll stop sharing my screen. Love to pause for any questions, if anything you'd like me to cover off more. So the floor is yours, and then we'll jump into some more recent developments. So,
Andy, I have a question.
hi, Alison.
Is the visitor link, where it said visitor link, for if you have a paid account but they don't, you could invite them to come and view, presumably. Is that what that is?
Absolutely. Yeah, let me just share quickly again here so we can talk about the same thing. So here I've got that session open with that share. So yes, you're right. Whether I invite someone to actually collaborate on a session with me, or if I just share that visitor link or the online agenda, that means whoever views the session doesn't need a paid subscription. This online agenda was a good one because then your participants don't need a shared one, but that visitor one actually means that they don't need to create a SessionLab account. So with this first option, Christina needs to create at least a free SessionLab account so I can see who's making changes. But with the visitor link, it's a great one to send to a client or a customer. You don't want them to have to log into SessionLab. They can just view it and leave some comments without actually having to create a SessionLab account. So
Thanks.
yeah, no paid access needed. And who said, Linda, I think you got your, I'll go with you, Linda.
I think
next.
Dan was ahead of me.
Oh, sorry, Dan, go ahead.
There's no rush. Yeah, Linda, you go.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a lot of tools out there, a lot of different platforms. I think as independent facilitators, we're inundated by, lots of information.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to apologize in advance that I don't know SessionLab better than I do, but I have enjoyed what I have done in that platform. Are there how-to documents, like cheat sheets, like how to set up an agenda with like top 10 first steps to do? I'm kind of one of those, like, I want to get in there and have a little bit of success like right away.
Right away, I'm the same. I'm impatient, and I'm the dough. If a tool isn't working for me straight away, then I'm very quickly going to lose interest in it. I need to make sure that it works for me. So no, that makes sense. So part of my job at SessionLab is I sort of help train and onboard new customers and new users too. But over the last few years, I built this. Or I have to give some people some kudos as well. We both built this support center. So there is a guide here. It's all there to
Fantastic.
be read, but what I'm actually going to show you that I think is slightly more useful is we have that top option. It's called the Academy. That just under that help menu is called the Academy. And these ones, they're all about 2 or 3 minute, really short YouTube videos. So if you just want to SessionLab 101, just gives you the highlights, pages and forms I'm going to talk about in a minute, but it gives you a good overview. This first one is just creating your first session, basic first steps. And it should just be a quick watch. It's me dictating it, unfortunately, but you do get to see what I'm doing, and you can maybe do the same things at the same time. But yeah, there's other ones for collaboration, exporting too. So I would definitely head into sessionlab.com/academy, or from that help menu, and you can get some good tips there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Linda. Thank you. And yeah, Dan, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for this too. It's great. So I've used SessionLab before. I've kind of used it and found it really beneficial for planning.
Great.
My question is kind of just for your thoughts around how you translate it into the sessions. I think online, virtually, it's a little bit easier because you can kind of tab across and see where you're at.
Mhm.
I find the in-person a little bit more clunky in my experience because I value the in-person relation building, and when I've got a laptop in front of me and then I'm looking at that, and I've used it a couple of times and was like, I don't know that this. Yeah, so I'd just be curious if you've any tips on using it virtually and in person in particular would be great.
Of course. Now I'm going to share my screen again and just go back to this session that I was looking at, project kickoff. Let's go to this one. So yes, you're right. If you had this on your sort of desk while you're trying to deliver, it can look a bit disconnecting for sure. One thing that I've seen people do is use that. Have I still got it open? That online agenda, just so you've got the timings and the highlight of what you're actually covering while you're delivering it. I'm going to just stop this because it's taking a while to load. There we go. But we do have the time tracker at the very top here of the session. And I've seen people load their session onto an iPad or a phone or something, put that on your desk. And then once you click the time tracker on your phone, it will start this sort of timing title at the very top that tells you how you're working through your session. So if you need to refer back to your session more for a timing point of view, I would recommend an iPhone or an iPad or similar Google options. But yeah, you can have that open and then see the actual timing moving through. And that's a good delivery idea.
Really good. Thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. And I'll stop the share there. And Robin, please go ahead.
Thank you, Andy. SessionLab I've used from the standpoint of methods on occasion, and I've looked at the tool. It looks very professional. I'm a super detailed person anyway. So part of me is like, well, I've already got this detailed way of working, which quite honestly looks a lot like SessionLab because it just does, because it's logical. One of the questions would be, why would I change over? Part of that then is tied to with clients, we'll share, they'll want to see, some clients, not all, want to see the details of a facilitation plan. So we'll share a Word document, they'll go in, they'll make comments, they might, whatever in that document. So it sounds like they could still, as visitors, make comments in the session lab. Is there a way to track changes? Okay. And then
I'll cover that. Yep.
Cover that. And then also a question about exporting to Word. So that planning agenda, like the high level agenda you showed, I would call that a participant agenda.
Yeah.
I have more than just the time and the title. It's the time, the title, and a couple of sentences about that agenda item. Is there a way to export that kind of stuff to Word and get it in a format that the client's going to want to deliver to the participants?
No, good. Bits of feedback. I'll cover those and just share my screen. You said you use something else at the moment, though, and is it a program or is it a different way of?
Oh, it's Word. It's
just
Robin's version of Word. Yeah.
That works too. Word's fine. But let me share my screen and jump in. I think even if you have used something before like Word, am I screen sharing? Yes, I think so. Here we go. It's hard to move over to something else. So I do appreciate that. But I think when we started the call and I talked about some of those limitations in Excel, maybe sharing, if you're in Word and you plan an agenda and want to move something up a list or adjust your timings, then it can be tricky to make those changes. So I think the reason you would use SessionLab above those is that you can more easily reuse your content. So when we looked at the library, you could add any of these blocks back to the library, or I can easily just duplicate things and reuse them again. But it's just the ease of reorganizing yourself in your content there. In terms of sharing, so yes, you're right, I would share with the button there. If I wanted somebody not to create an account, got it completely spot on as well there. I can invite a collaborator or invite a visitor. Especially this way, they don't need to create an account, but they can still leave comments. And when they leave a comment, they have to leave their name as well, just so you know who it was. Now, the track changes. If I just go here to the different action buttons down the right side, there's one second from the bottom, and it shows you a really high level of what was updated. But if you're used to the detail of Google Documents and Word, you probably wouldn't find this quite your standard. So I have to be honest there. But you do have an option to make a version. The difference being maybe in Google Docs, you can revert back to an old version just automatically. Whereas here in SessionLab, you have to physically create a new version. So if I'm about to share this with 10 people, I might create a new version at that point, and then any changes that do get made, I've always got it to go back to. But I would just highlight versioning. You have to proactively do it yourself rather than reactively doing it after. So there's that feature. But then when we talk about exporting, you've got the option under the export menu of a few different places to export. So the most common is PDF, and I've shown that one there where you've got a few different options for how your export should look. My computer is going a bit slowly, so I might struggle showing you the Word export, but I'll certainly talk about what you would see. But this is PDF. I can have all the agenda or just a stripped back day. As you said, that might not be quite enough information. So when you get to the Word export, I can choose that there. And when you choose words, you do have a screen that pops up like this. You don't get as much control over what you show. So it can be just the simple day overview, which I showed with those timings and the titles. Or you can have the agenda. So there is a bit less flexibility, but the idea is that you might be able to manipulate the content yourself. So when you have that word export, you can delete some content out there. But this is one area that we're keen to work on a bit more because we haven't got so many controls over word exports. But does that help answer the questions? I think there.
It does. Thank you. Exporting, is there a way to import? So
there
if
is
I've got a word, okay.
No, good. That leads very nicely on to the next section, though. So I'll save that for a few minutes and show that in a minute. So I will. So I'll pause. Any more questions? I plan to then jump in and show some of the recent changes, a bit of the AI and importing, and then there'll be a bit of time to do some exploring yourself. No, good. Thank you for your questions. Let's jump back into SessionLab, and I'm going to show you. We've gone back to our agenda here. And what I've got, I'm going to choose a different session. In fact, I've got this Team Dynamics one that I'm going to choose there. So let's open this Team Dynamics session up and get back into it. Now, what we've been working on so far is just the actual agenda for your day. So we're imagining this is going to be a session that we're going to run on Friday. So I've chosen the date for Friday. We know what we're doing at 9 o'clock in the morning, but we don't know any of the pre-planning stages that we've done or the follow-up that we're going to do afterwards. And that's what we've been working on or thinking more about over the last few months. So I've just opened up this side panel here, and you see there's 3 different things here, each with a different icon. This first one is just like Excel. It's a grid view, it's columns, it's rows, it's your agenda planner, it's your detailed agenda for your day. But this second one, which I created by just clicking on this plus icon, gives you an option to have a page or a form. And a page, just like a Notion page or a Word document, if you're struggling working in SessionLab because you're constrained by different blocks and different grids and rows and columns, you can instead have a workshop brief. And this is just a free text page. You can add images, you can add the context for your session. This is where you can maybe add some different outcomes or what you would like to achieve with your session. And again, this is all shared inside this one session. So it's all kept together in one place. So yeah, a brief there you can create. It's got some different titles in it here. I click on the plus icon and go to create a new page. I automatically get offered to make my page from 3 or 4 different templates that already exist down the left-hand side. So if I'm doing a brief or maybe trying to find some needs assessment information, I can look at those different templates there. Or if I just want to start from scratch and have my own blank page to start building up some different ideas, I can do that too. And then I'm going to go back and we've got the other option, which is a form. So I can actually follow up with my participants straight afterwards. And kind of 2 common ways to do that, either following up with the participants, how good was the session, or you could actually get you can send this to your participants and say, how was the facilitator? How did they do it? How was the session run? So however you want to gather some feedback, you can send out a feedback form here. And I'm going to click on that plus icon again, click on the form option. And then again, just like before, I've got different options for different forms that I can already create from a template, or I can start my own one completely from scratch and build up my own questions. But if I just go back to the form, we see it's got some questions on it, like the feedback form. It's got the name and space for you to rate things from 1 to 5, leave some comments. Again, you can upload images, etc. there. So that's, instead of just thinking about Friday, the session is happening, we're thinking about all the days before that, leading up to Friday, and the planning sections, and then the bit afterwards. What you're going to do next Monday when you want to start gathering some of that feedback. So instead of thinking about the one day, you're thinking about the whole process. So whether you might do that in different documents, different ways of getting form feedback or sending out questionnaires, you can now do that in SessionLab. So I can click on the share button, I can publish my form, publish my feedback form, and I can copy that link and send it to somebody. Or if you're giving a presentation during your session, you might like to include a QR code, which then people can scan with their phone, and then they'll get taken straight to a form. They can fill it in there and then. And then as those responses come in, they'll all be saved here inside SessionLab. So you'll see the responses just in this tab, and then maybe a summary on this one here of all the different parts that have happened. We'll get some time to just have some questions and any feedback on that shortly, but I do want to show you a couple of other things here. So when we were putting together our brief, one of the things you might have seen is an Ask AI button at the very top there. And I'm going to talk about some of the different AI features. Now, I've already put together the day. So inside the day of my session, I've already got all the text, all the bits of information. I've already planned what I'm doing for the day, but I can go back to my brief and I can click on the Ask AI button at the top there. And I can fill this using the information from my session. I'm going to click that button. Again, I'm having a few slow computer issues, so we'll see if it does do something speedily. But while I'm talking, we can see that the AI assistant panel opens up in the side. And whereas I've just got placeholder text here at the moment, which is just from the template, the AI assistant will start filling this in. It might take a few minutes, so this might be something that will leave, but you'll get the idea that the AI assistant is there and can start inputting into your session for you. It looks like it's fully updated. Here's a summary of what was filled in. It says it's doing something, but under this Ask AI menu as well, you can also change the language. So if I've got everything here in English, but you just want to ask the AI assistant to do something for you, you can click on the Ask AI button, translate to a different language. You can ask it to draft a follow-up email for you. If there's different actions, outcomes, goals, you can ask it to extract those for you too. Creating briefs, creating these forms, they're all free processes. You can do that on a free account as well. But working with the AI assistant, you get a number of different requests every month, but that is one of the paid features. But I did want to show you how you could actually interact with the AI. And you can see here, I've actually now got all the text written inside this page, all the outcomes listed, other needs that I might need depending upon the things, the different challenges and activities in my session. And I can do the same if I put together a form and I just wanted to ask the AI assistant to populate that form for me straight away. It can do that too. I'm going to just pause there. I'm going to go to this plus icon and add a new day to my session. So we've got a day that we've been working on, which is, yeah, like we say, a session for Friday. But if I wanted to add another day onto this agenda, I can click on that day button here, and you'll get an option to either create a new session from one of these templates that we looked at in the library earlier. So these were fully designed session plans here, and I can choose a new day and just have something pre-populate. Or now we're looking at the importing file, I can import my file with AI. Now, if you've got a Word document, or even if you've extracted something from SessionLab before, you should be able to upload it. I'm going to try doing this one and just seeing how it creates a session for me. What I'm asking it to do is I've uploaded the same image that I showed at the very start of the call, which is exactly this. So this is just a screenshot of a Excel screen, so an Excel tab, and I've just uploaded this as an image to SessionLab, and we'll see it might take a little time. There, it's already creating a session for me. Let's give it some more space to do that. And I can see I've imported the agenda, uploaded that screenshot, and now the SessionLab AI assistant's chatting back to me. And I can see it's creating these blocks. So hands off, it's creating those blocks for me, and it's now telling me it's going to start filling in the extra bit of detail that it's going to give me behind those blocks, I think. Okay, well, it just gave me the titles and the timings. It didn't give me any other info, but you get an idea for those first steps that you can take inside SessionLab to create your session without starting from scratch. Okay, I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I'm going to stop, and there'll be time for a brief breakout and some questions as well there too. Here was the AI assistant just in that right side panel, and this is where I can chat backwards and forwards to the AI assistant if I wanted to say, please add in more information, please add in more text into my session. I can just chat back to the SessionLab assistant and ask it to do that. But I could also attach files or sessions directly from here. So if I have a session that I've already delivered and I want to upload it here, and I want to say, create this session, but make it twice as long, or create this session, but make it fit into a 2-hour time stop, I can upload something else and ask it to adjust that for me there too. So just clicking on that button, you can upload a file, and then you can get the AI assistant to adjust that for you. Back on the main page here, I've just got the Ask AI button at the top there. And again, as I'm putting together my session, I can start doing some of these different. If I want to add in some more energizers, I could click on that button and the AI assistant would suggest 1 or 2 energizers that could then be added in to my session. So it's worth playing around with some of the AI features there on the right, because that will allow you to have a test of what the AI can do to help you when it comes to planning. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen there. I think I've shown you through quite a few things at once, and I don't want to overwhelm you with loads of different areas. I think the AI is something that you'll probably feel more comfortable practicing a bit more in your own time. But yeah, I will pause there and hand back. I think if we've got enough time, it might be nice to do a very short 5-6 minute breakout, and I've got some instructions on the things you could have a quick look at. And then we'll have some time at the end for final questions.
I have one question, Andy.
Please.
Yeah, the forms and the things, they stay with the session, right? So I can export or share this with the client, so it stays with the session. So for every session, I can have a different one. Can I copy like a form from one session to another, like we do with different blocks?
You can do, yeah. In fact, again, I'll share my screen again. Spots on right, so each form and each page lives inside each agenda, so you would have different ones for each different section. If I go back to the session, I think it was this one that I'm working on, you can copy if I go to the 3 dots next to a form, I can duplicate it and then move it elsewhere. But
that's perfect.
That create template option is a nice one, because it makes a template that you can then access and use time and time again. So
yes, it stays in our library. Awesome.
Stays in your library, absolutely.
I didn't see the 3 dots over there. Yeah, perfect.
As you hover over it and those 3 dots appear. And now you can actually release this week, you can reorganize those. So you can put the form at the top if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have a client, it gives us like massive needs assessments and it's like long documents to read. So we can use this to test with AI to extract the main topics and start the work. So yeah, awesome. Lovely.
That's so great.
No, pleased to hear. No, thank you. And I think it's worth just testing, having a try, sending out a form, try using a page, and just seeing what the results look like when they come in. But yeah, we're really pleased. It seems to be what people were asking for. Robin.
Andy, can you, assuming that you have multiple plans loaded in, can you plug and play? Like, oh, I want to use this item from this session that I did last month, and I want to use a couple of items from this other session. Can you pull in, copy, paste somehow to build it rather than starting from scratch?
No, that's a good, so that 100% you can do that manually. So you could go to each session, copy blocks. So definitely that would be easy that way. But I think it would be even easier if I just share my screen one more time. When we went to this AI assistant side panel, I showed you the option just for that first section there where you can actually upload a file and reference something. But here, choose which workspace the AI has access to. So under this one here, I can say you can't access any of the sessions on my workspace, or you can access all the sessions on my workspace. So it's again worth a test, and our AI is still in beta testing phase, but I think you will have good success if you choose your workspace and then say referencing session Z or session C and session M, referencing these different sessions, pull together one agenda with different ideas. And I know it will do that with 1 or 2 sessions. Whether it will handle a whole workspace, it's worth giving it a try. But at least you'll get something to start from. But just that middle option there and giving it the option to pull content from your workspace will hopefully give you a good starting point.
Thank you.
And Linda has a good question in the chat, Andy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's the question that everybody wants the answer, Linda.
Will the AI in SessionLab take an agenda design for face-to-face and replicate an online version? I think it will. I think if you gave it the clear instructions and you said, read this session, it's designed for face-to-face, and give me tips, and each one, I want tips for how you would do it online. I'm too scared to try that right now because it'll take some time probably for it to load up. I'm going to use that as my excuse, but it will, if you give the AI the instruction, it will tweak the content for you to what you ask it to do. And I have every faith in
Yeah.
it.
Imagine this in March 2020.
Yeah, yeah, that would have been useful then, for sure. No. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, no problem. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming along. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll paste those couple of parts into the chat here because there's a couple of links, and whether we do that now or whether you want to just open up the space for chat and questions, it's up to you. But either we do it now in short breakouts, or we have time to go and explore those different areas. But I'm gonna just add something into the chat there in a second.
Yeah, mind blowing, these new options
Yeah, me too.
going beyond the sessions for the pre and the post sessions.
The pre and the post, the part before and the part after. Okay, so what I'm going to share here, just open up the June section. There we go, and I'm going to paste this into the chat. Here we go. Okay, so just in the chat there. So those are my couple of top tips for next steps. And if maybe you're a bit newer to SessionLab and you wanted to cover a bit more of what I talked about at the start of the call, so there's exploring the library methods templates. That first link there, sessionlab.com/library. You don't need to be logged into SessionLab to head there. You can be in an incognito browser or however, but you can just go there even if you take the inspiration and take it elsewhere. It's still a nice place to go to find some different ideas, activities. That's what I talked about at the start of the call. Not just those individual blocks, but the fully designed session templates. That's the first link there. You might ask yourself questions of what have you used before? What kind of methods have you used or could you use in the future? We talked about liberating structures. Maybe there's other hyper item ones. The 4 quadrants activities in there is a common one I see. So what kind of methods are relevant to you? And then those fully designed, fully structured session templates, are there some there that could be good starting blocks for you to use? If you think of anything you'd like to see that isn't there, we are always keen to hear that. And then that second link just in my message there is if you want to explore a multi-day template. Again, you don't even need to be signed in or signed up to SessionLab to view that one. But if you click on that link there, I hope it opens for you. But you should see that it's a multi-day session. So it's about 4 or 5 different days. So you can easily move between those different days. But you'll see an example of a page and an example of a feedback form in as well, just so you can kind of get the idea of how it works together. So the couple of questions I added there is, can you imagine your own sessions, your own content set up like this? So instead of thinking of what I'm doing at 9 o'clock on Friday, I'm thinking of the pre-work and then the post follow-up actions too. And then what kind of processes would work well? And it's for what are there other kind of things you do that might not be just delivering something on a day, but the full workflow? So those couple of links will hopefully give you some inspiration and ideas.
Yeah, you give the toys in the hands of people are playing.
Nice. People are playing with it. Good. Pleased to hear. That's good.
I'm playing.
Yeah, particularly with that second one, you can open that up and you can create your own session. If you do have a SessionLab account, you can create your own session from it, and then you've got it there to tweak, change, play around. But yeah, I will add in, actually, I'm going to add in just my email address as well, just in case you start and you get stuck with any questions. I'll make sure that's in here as well.
I have a question for Fernando, if that's okay. So for the there's a lot of liberating structures in here. To just different people, like how do things like that get added? Or okay, do you know from your experience, like if the 33 structures are in there or if it's just some? And then I guess the question for Andy is, how do things get added? Like, is someone going to add the new structures in the new book and so on?
Yeah, I'll speak about how things get added in there. So we do have lots of different companies that have added things in there before. Everything's vetted before it goes live. So even if you yourself have a method that you would like to see public, it's first created in there by whoever owns it, and then it's sent to us at SessionLab. We get a notification, we review it, and then we set it live. So that's the process of kind of how it goes through. So at least everything's vetted. But adding new content, we have a marketing team which researches and gets new content added in. They're adding new templates at the moment. But if there's something we particularly wanted to see, I can certainly request that it gets added in there. But I'd say 75% of the time it's an end user or a facilitation company that wants to spread the word about their method, and that gets added in there and approved. And the other 25% of the time is probably from us at SessionLab that encourages people to add their own methods or tools in there. But if you have something you want to add in there, we're always keen to add a new idea in there. And I'll just see if there's any other thoughts or feedback that I can go there. Or Fernando, any feedback on your use of the library that you've used before?
Yeah, I'm not a heavy user of the library, but sometimes I go there just to get some inspiration, see what is there, because it's always changing. As you said, some people are constantly adding stuff, and it's amazing to see the level of description of some things are very detailed. Some are more high level. So I always go there to check some stuff. And it's well organized as well. So one thing that we as facilitators encounter as difficult, it's to find organized material to go from. So I think SessionLab does a very good job in getting things organized and searchable, so you can search for what you are looking for. And also you connect with people because you can know, oh, this person, yeah, I've heard about this person, that person. So it's a good hub for people to grab knowledge and people at the same place.
You just inspired me to show something else just while I've got a few minutes left, actually, if there's time.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to quickly share my screen here again because, yeah, I was thinking about other resources and other ways to feedback. And we talked about this help section here where you had the academy and the support center. But that fifth one down is the community space. And if I open that in a new tab, a bit like a Facebook, I think we kind of introduced this as, and hopefully it will load on my slow machine, but it's doing well so far. But the community, a bit like a Facebook with different sections. I can see it loading here. If you want to connect with other facilitators in the industry or ask questions or feedback, or you have a design idea that you want someone else to input into, this is a bit like that. So we've got a slowly loading, but a place you can, when you have a SessionLab account, you just link it to the community. And it's a place where you get a welcome when you first come in, but we run different events. So probably once a month we have a different event, free of charge, of course, but just a facilitation-based event that might be coming up. Let's see if that loads if I click on it. But otherwise, as there's different stories or people have different opportunities, there can be job opportunities in there. Scrolling down here, we've got what's new. When we release something new, I add it to this section inside the community. And if I see the next event, that's actually me coming up in a week. I have to remember that one. But so there's an event there of what's new in SessionLab, and one's coming up, or one's in the past as well, and coming up there in the future. So worth checking out the community. I just went to my SessionLab account. Under that help menu there, I just clicked on that second to bottom option, and that just gets you inside the community where you can connect, create an account, ask some questions, and feedback on them too.
It's in circle, right?
That's in circle. Yes, right.
Yeah. And it's good because if you have different communities in circle, you can just move from one to another in the same place. Helps.
You can, nice. Okay. Yeah. So be a circle member and then you can easily cycle through.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And we have, 7 minutes to close here. And I was like, so like looking to all the things that we don't use and we can start using. And I'm just kind of in awe here. Thank you so much. And I would like to go and do like a round and everybody can share what was valuable for you in this session. And I think it's a very good feedback for Andy too.
That is.
So, yeah. So what was valuable to you from today's session? Did you put in the chat? Yes. So the floor is yours.
I can start. What was valuable for me was knowing this pre and post ways to document what is happening, and also the use of AI to crunch the information that sometimes we get to work on an agenda. So I will be playing with this for this week for sure. Thank you, Andy.
Nice to hear it. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. One platform. Thanks, Hector.
The thing is, as facilitators, we normally use a lot of different spaces to put our notes. You have a file for the meetings, you have a file for this, you have a file for that. And you put, if you're lucky, you put everything in a folder, but then you miss to download something from an email that somebody sent you, and then you start looking for stuff all around the place. So having one space where you can access for everything. I mean, I would love to be able to access it. If I can request, like if you're taking requests, having a dedicated app instead of just to be able to access all that information, that would be awesome. I know the difficulty to create an actual app that is an app and not only a website in a cell phone. But having said that, I think having created all of this, and thank you also for the import feature when you have things in Excel, and then you just import it and put it there and creates the blocks and take the time and everything. It's like, and it works well because I've done that plenty with clients giving me, like, hey, this is the overall agenda of an event, and I am like the second part of the whole thing. Just importing it, it's a breeze. You don't have to redo everything, and that's fun. Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. No, that's good to hear. That's one of the main challenges. I think people have a Notion page or they have a Word document, and then, you want to upload a presentation or a slide, and then it's in a if you're lucky, it's in a folder sometimes. So actually having it all in one unit, one entity in SessionLab, one item with a page and a form, and everything in there, one place. That's good feedback.
Yeah.
But about the app, I agree 100%. It works. You can use SessionLab on your phone or an iPad, but it would be great to have the app that makes it a bit easier.
I think for me, I'm just really glad to be like reacquainted with it and kind of see the new features, and just provides a huge motivation to get in there and start to use it the next time, that I design something, which hopefully will be very soon.
Pleased to hear it. Thank you for jumping in and trying. It's half the battle is having the courage to just give something a go if it's not your normal process anyway. But I'll look out for any questions coming from you in the future. So.
Will do.
Similar to Allison, it was helpful for me to see it again in more detail. You do a great job responding to questions, like really good. Yeah. And it was helpful to see the options for feedback forms and the workshop brief, and doing that from AI and let it pull together a brief, because honestly, my Word process works totally fine and works for me and it works for the clients. But when you add those extra things on, that's something that I don't already have without going to some other tool and whatever. So I think that's really a plus. Thank you.
Thank you. That's kind feedback. Appreciate those words. And I'm the same. If a process works for you, stick with it if it's working for everybody. But just I think with everything, there's always a way you could slightly make it a bit more streamlined, and it does take that bit of work initially to get comfortable with a tool, or to I know that is it Kubler-Ross, that learning curve, when you feel a bit of a resistance initially to something, but once you maybe get used to it, once you get used to comfortable with SessionLab and you you find that you're able to reuse something quickly again, then it can start becoming a time saver. So yeah, I'll be pleased to hear how you get on in the future. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andy. And I echo Fernando, and I think now we are gonna kind of have another way of using SessionLab in a very different way, and explore more all the features that is there and we didn't know or we didn't explore.
Explore fully.
And for me, it's a big invitation of this exploration, and because there are a lot of good stuff there that it's gonna save time and also like help us. And the AI is also something that can inspire us. And so thank you so much. Yeah, it was
Pleased to
awesome.
hear it. Thank you. And yeah, whether you're putting together a normal session, facilitating something, I've seen people plan all sorts of things in SessionLab, even a wedding or maybe a 6 months motorhome trip. You might want to put some of your stop-offs inside SessionLab. You can plan anything that's that kind of structure in SessionLab. So
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Annie, for making the time and for your presentation, our support.
thank you, everyone. Thank you for
Thanks,
listening.
everybody, for coming. Good to see you
Yeah,
again.
thank you, Rob and Edison.
Thank you
Sure.
all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for
Yeah.
hosting, as always.